Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Seligman. I'm an athletic trainer here at Bon Secours Mercy Health, and I'm coming to you guys today with a new education video. It's the first part of a two-part series that I want to do. It's called Common Weightlifting Mistakes. This is a series based on things that I see at the high schools, that I see in kind of your normal gyms, um, things that I, as an athletic trainer, as a personal trainer, as a coach, things that I notice when I'm watching people lift. So I really want to cover in two parts all the major lifts that you're going to do in the weight room. Then this first part's going to be upper body lifts, and then the next one will be lower body lifts. So let's get started here. So this is just where we're going today. A few general guidelines about weightlifting, and then we're going to cover the four major exercises of the push-up, the bench press, the military press, also called the overhead press or the shoulder press, and then the bent over row. So first of all, if you're watching this video but you're not weightlifting, you definitely should consider it, and you should be. I always encourage all of my clients, my patients, whether they're middle school, high school, or they're 70 years old, I encourage them to start lifting. Start a resistance training program, whatever that looks like. There is a ton of different health benefits. If you have a chronic health condition, it can make those better. It can make you stronger. It makes you faster, all kinds of stuff. If you're an athlete, you definitely need to be lifting, no matter what your sport is. If it's golf, if it's football, if it's track, if it's whatever, it doesn't matter. You should be in the gym lifting. But I know there's a lot of barriers to that. So it's really helpful to find a great coach, a partner that knows what they're doing in the gym, who has weightlifting experience. If you don't know anybody like that, ask your coach, ask your athletic trainer. We can help you point you in the right direction, or even help you ourselves if we have that experience. But other than COVID currently, there's no reason to not be in a gym lifting weights. And if you can do it at home, even better. As at the time of this recording, we're going kind of into phase 3 for athletics, and we're doing outdoor practices, soon to be indoor practices. So we'll be back in the school weight room soon. So if you're a coach watching this, get your team in there, get them on the schedule. It shouldn't just be football. It should be everybody in there. So talk to your athletic directors about that. If you're a coach, if you're a parent and see this, talk to your coaches about it. Everyone should be in there getting stronger. It's going to help prevent injuries. It's going to help make your performance better. And if for some reason you can't do that, we do have our Bon Secours sports performance workouts that we've been doing every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week since the beginning of September. And we're going to keep doing those for a little while. So join in on those, same page as you came to watch this video. So let's get into this video in particular. So I want to kind of go over proper lifting form. It's just kind of the easiest way to go over the mistakes rather than just pointing out each one. I'm just going to go over the best way, the safest way to do these lifts. So learn proper lifting form. That's number one. You got to lift safely. You can't just go in there and start throwing around all this heavy weight. You got to learn the form. You got to spend time, months and months. And even when you're an advanced weightlifter, you always go back and work on form. That's never finished. When you're in the weight room, you finally start lifting, you have a partner or a coach, you have the form down, make sure you keep all the repetitions nice and slow, controlled. Should never be fast, should never be jerky. This point is for safety as well. So this is kind of the overarching theme of this. These mistakes are not just because they look silly, which they do, but they also help keep you healthy and safe. and you want to get stronger and not put yourself at risk of injury by doing so. And then the last point here is just when lifting heavy, which is relative for you, always have a spotter. If you're doing the squat and the bench press in particular, and the bench press is one we're going to cover today, definitely have someone there to spot you. Don't do it alone. So the first one here is what we're going to cover is the push-up. So we're going to do this by way of comparison between a couple images and videos. So this guy is the example of what not to do with a push-up. So if you can see, his hands are way out, kind of under his face and his neck. His midsection, his belly goes towards the floor. His hips go down towards the floor. He's not going all the way down. There's all kinds of issues with this. This is probably the most common push-up form that I see. We just did physicals at a high school recently, and I make everybody do a couple push-ups as part of their musculoskeletal screen. If you're in high school, you should definitely be able to do a good push-up. And most people look like this. This is kind of more like kind of a weird worm thing. It's not a great push-up. Okay, but then we have this picture. This guy nice and slow and controlled, first of all, which is perfect. Hands are below the chest. So make sure, so this is the stuff you need to remember right here. For some of the exercises, not there yet. I'm gonna have it written out here, but this one I don't, just for the comparison, the picture comparison, so it was easier to see. So we wanna make sure that you have your hands underneath your chest when you do this, chest level, chest height. You have them straight out in front of you. The one change that I would make to this is that instead of putting your hands flat like that and you have your hand, kind of extended back, your wrist extended back, you're kind of cranking on that wrist, I would use a dumbbell. So if you have a dumbbell, you can do this and you keep the dumbbell on the ground and it helps keep your wrist nice and straight. All right, so just like this, your wrist should always be nice and straight. That's going to be a common theme in this video for all these exercises for the upper body, okay? Your wrist should not be cranked back like this. When you're doing anything, it should be nice and straight. And this isn't just coming from me, this is coming from our wrist and hand surgeon that I've worked with before. That's his number one complaint. People in the weight room exercising incorrectly, use the dumbbells. Or if you have the perfect push-up little handles, those are great too. All right, so on this one also, so we're gonna move down here from the chest and the hand position. You see that his core, his midsection is nice and flat. His, excuse me, his hips and his butt stay in line with his chest and with his legs. So in order to do this, you need a strong core. So what that means, practically speaking, when you do push-ups, when you set up for the push-ups, so you put your hands in the right position, you're using the dumbbells, but you also need to tighten the butt, tighten the glutes, and tighten your stomach. Like someone's gonna punch you in the abs, okay? You don't have to make it so tight, just a little bit of pressure, and that helps keep your midsection nice and straight. And it's gonna take a while, it's gonna be really hard, it's gonna make the push-ups harder by doing all these things, but you're gonna be much better at it, you're gonna be doing it more safely, and you'll get stronger. So that's the push-up. Of course, I couldn't, so painful to see every time. I've watched this a billion times, it's still painful. This video wouldn't be complete without bench press fails. If we're talking about a bench press, you gotta have what not to do, and that's this. When you're the spotter, don't let go until the person has the weight firmly supported. Oh, okay, and then there's one more. So this is also just a huge cheat, right? Bench pressing down to your belly and letting it bounce back up. Crazy, crazy. There's a ton more on YouTube, so just look them up. They're great. And this guy, he's demonstrating what the proper form is. Doesn't quite get that full rep all the way up. It kind of starts the GIF over again. But that's what it looks like, nice and slow and controlled. Feet are flat on the ground, back's flat. So this is what we want. All right, so this guy this is a great picture of what it looks like on the bottom position of the bench press with all these different points that we're going to talk about here. So we're going to start at the feet and work our way up. Most people, when you think about the bench press, don't think about your feet, but that's actually where a lot of your stability comes from when you do this. So make sure that you have, like this guy, your feet flat on the ground and you have your butt on the bench the whole time. You don't need to raise your butt up. Maybe if you're doing a 1 rep max with a spotter and you got to get that last rep up, okay, maybe then. But for the most part, feet flat, butt on the bench. You're sticking your chest out like this guy. So your lower back is nice and rounded. You see the wrinkles in his shirt, that the low back is rounded a little bit. Chest is out to before you even, this is all again, before you even get the bar. So the picture is of the guy with the bar on his chest all the way down at the middle of the rep. But make sure you do these before you even get the weight, you take the weight off the rack. So chest out, squeeze the shoulder blades together. You want to pinch those shoulder blades together. That'll kind of go with the chest out. It'll help you stick the chest out a bit more, and it'll put your shoulders in a position of great stability. So some people complain that you shouldn't be doing bench press because it could hurt your shoulders, but really that's all preventable. If you do it correctly, your shoulder should be in a good position, a safe position. You have a spotter, you're not doing too much weight, et cetera, et cetera. So squeeze the shoulder blades towards your spine, stick that chest out. At the bottom here, this is a great picture of vertical forearms. So you see at the bottom of the rep, his elbow and his wrist are in line. His forearm is not forward or back. Everything should be nice and straight in a straight line. Okay, so you always want to lift the weight perpendicular to the ground, to gravity. So everything needs to be nice and straight. Elbows are not all the way out like this. I see a lot of people benching with their elbows all the way out. Not a very stable position for the shoulder. All right, bring the elbows in a little bit on that bottom position, about 45 to 75 degrees. So 45, think about 90 degrees is your shoulders, your elbows all the way out at the bottom. And then 45 is halfway between. So if this is 0, 45 is kind of halfway. So anywhere between 45 and 75, which is, a little bit out further, closer to 90, is a good position for your elbows. And that'll basically, it's not really for your elbows as much as it is for your shoulder to help protect it. Again, wrist straight. So this guy has a great grip on the bar. His wrists are nice and straight. This is probably one of the most common problems I see, especially in high school weightlifting, is you're benching and the bar sits way back in the hand. So let me use the dumbbell for an example. People do it with a dumbbell too. So when I say this about a barbell, it's also true about dumbbells or kettlebells or whatever else you're using. So I see the bar back in the hand like this, and it's, again, putting that wrist in a really compromised position. You're lifting all that weight and you're broken here. You're not straight. All right. You should be putting that force straight down through that forearm, and use that leverage to be able to lift the weight rather than, again, you're losing power that direction. Okay. So wrist should always be straight. So in order to do that, so you need to, a lot of people grip the bar kind of up here. Hopefully you can see this in the camera. A lot of people have a really high grip, like it's right below the fingers, and they have them just kind of resting in the fingers. That's not what you want. You want the bar nice and low across the thumb, all right, and across the base of the palm. That's what it should look like. It's kind of like a little diagonal. So it's not going to be technically straight like this, but it's going to be down like this, so that when the weight is on your hand, everything is nice. See how nice and straight that is? Instead of back like that, you want it nice and straight. So that way the pressure of the bar is coming straight down through the palm of your hand to these bones and straight into your forearm. All right, and then the last couple points here for the bench press. Eyes, when you start and you lay on the bench, your eyes should be directly underneath the bar. The bar shouldn't be behind your head. You should be able to see it. And then when you unrack it, it'll be over your chest. And then head on bench. Again, I see this problem a lot. People raising their head up. Everything should be nice and in line. Your whole spine should be nice and straight. Exceptions maybe when you're really trying hard. But even then, you should really keep keeping that head on the bench. All right, so that's the bench press. Military press. So this is the only one I have for military press. So she's doing a great job on pretty much every point of this. This is a lift that I don't see done enough, especially at the high school level. This is a really important one, especially for shoulder strength and stability. Really, everyone should be doing this one. It's fantastic. I see variations of it, which are good. You could be seated with dumbbells, doing the same thing, straight overhead. We'll do thrusters where you're kind of doing the squat straight up and pressing overhead, but this one is really good. she's great in pretty much everything except her wrist position, because you can see that bar is kind of sitting way back on her wrist. She needs to work on some of that wrist flexibility and putting the bar in that same place we talked about for the bench press, nice and low in the palm. But here are the guidelines for the military press. You might need a little extra help getting started with this with a coach who's experienced in it, because it is kind of weird. As you can kind of see in this picture, it's not just the bar moving up over your head, but your body is actually moving under the bar as you lift it. So to start with though, when you take it off the rack, the bar sits right here on your upper chest and your shoulders. So it's going to rest straight across here. All right. And remember, you want to keep your wrist straight. So get that bar situated, same as before, same as the bench press. All right. You're going to get it situated right there across the bottom of your hand and your thumb. Nice tight grip there. Okay. And then it's going to sit here. If you can't get that grip with this position, you probably need to do some flexibility and stretching. Again, talk to your athletic trainer about that for getting a little bit of range of motion back on that wrist. And as you do the lift, you'll get it too. So grip bar with the low palm, just like we just talked about. Vertical forearms. So again, just like the bench press in the low position, in the military press, the low position, your forearm should be straight. You shouldn't be gripping the bar out like this. You see how I'm angled, or in like this. It means you need to move your hand on the bar, either out or in, so that when it's sitting on your chest, your elbow and your wrist are nice and in line. So keep your butt and abs tight, just like we talked about for the bench press, the push-up. You can see in the first picture on the left here, you have the bar sitting there, the forearms are nice and straight. You're going to arch that back and stick that chest out and tighten the butt, tighten the abs. That'll give you a nice base of support to help, because you're basically pushing against the floor. You're not moving your legs. You're not using your legs. It's all upper body, but you're transferring the force. You're pushing up, right? But your body is simultaneously pushing down into the ground. So you need to have a nice stable trunk, core, legs. Everything needs to be nice and tight in order to start this lift. And as you lift, you're going to go from an extended back and hips into nice and straight. So at the very top, everything in your body is nice and in line, just like this picture. And the bar and your arms, your shoulders are up and back overhead as far as you can. Your arm shouldn't be here. They should be up and back in this nice stable position. Shoulder blades squeezed together at the back. All right. And like this says, I said before, don't use your legs. This isn't a leg lift. All right. There are different versions of that, like the thrusters that I talked about. But that's kind of a secondary. This is a primary lift. So hopefully that makes sense. It makes much more sense when you start doing it in person. And then lastly, we have the bent over row. So this is one I don't see enough really either. It's a difficult one. It's a hard position to maintain. And this is where we start getting into good positioning for lower body lifts as well. So some of the points for this are going to carry over into the next video for lower body lifts. So this guy's doing it correctly. He's not, what I see happening a lot is that torso comes up and you're like lifting it like a deadlift. That's not the point. We're going to get to the deadlift next time. That's for the legs. But this is really just for the back and arms. And this takes a lot of core and trunk stability. But this is a great lift to strengthen that upper back and to get that pulling motion, kind of like a pull down or a pull up. But you're using a little bit different muscles and you're pulling straight up against gravity. All right, so this guy is doing it the wrong way. This up here. So you see how his torso is coming up and he's kind of like using his legs, his hamstrings, his butt to lift that up. That's not what we want. He's kind of shrugging it up and letting it drop. We don't want any of that. Remember, nice and slow and controlled like the other guy. All right, so butt out, chest out. So when you start, usually it'll be either the weight will be on the barbell, will be on the floor, and you need to get in a good deadlift position, which we're going to talk about next time, or it'll be kind of on a low rack, in a squat rack or something like that. So you need to take it off the rack and then put yourself in the position we talked about before. This one, too far. This one here. Okay, so take it off the rack, get that butt out. So the first motion with it is not lifting the weight at all. It's putting your butt out and putting yourself in this position, chest up. You keep that back nice and flat the whole time. okay? That's really the most important part. We don't want a rounded back like this guy does at the top here. He's just kind of bending his back. We want everything nice and straight the whole time. Keep the back straight, keep the torso still and flat, not moving any of that. Knees stay over toes. So again, this isn't a lower body lift, this is upper body. So your legs need to stay in a good position because you're pulling up. It means your legs, the force is going straight down to the floor, right? As you lift. And so you need to keep the knees, when I say knees over toes, I mean don't let your knees cave in like this. They need to stay nice and straight so you can push straight down into the floor. Don't let them cave. And that's going to carry over nicely into the upper or lower body lifts. Again, elbows at 45 or 75 degrees. You don't want to put them out like this, right? Definitely never want this position or even this position. You want them close. Just like on the military press, same idea. You're not having them all out here. You're going to bring them in. Bench press, same idea. You want to keep your shoulder in a good, safe position. Vertical forearms. So you see at the very top, maybe this guy's better. The forearms are again nice and straight. You don't want to have your grip too close or too wide. Keep them nice and straight the whole time. Seeing the common themes here through all these exercises. I'm going to protect those shoulders, wrists, and elbows primarily in the back with this one. Neck in line, don't pull the neck up, don't bend the head all the way down. You want to keep it nice and straight. Keep your whole back, that includes your neck, nice and straight. Squeeze the shoulder blades at the top and then nice and slowly lower it back down. Don't let it drop like this guy's doing. All right. So that does it for our upper body lifts. The next time I see you guys, I think we're going to do the lower body lifts, which are going to be primarily the squat, lunge, and deadlift. Might throw another one in there. But thank you very much for watching today. Please fill out the survey that we have on our website. It's on the Bon Secours virtual training page. That'll help us improve our videos and present topics that you might be interested in. So let us know what you think. Have a good one.